Okay, Lucy and Conrad and Caleb, it's time to finish up our story about X-Men and the Submariner. Do y'all remember the beginning of our story? Yes, here's a picture of the cover of the story, and you see that everyone's on an island that is operated by Magneto with this gigantic magnetized machine on it. And in the background, you can see Magneto and Mastermind and Toad, Quicksilver and Scarlet Witch. But look here, who's this? You're right, it's Submariner, and he is gonna be an he's been recruited by Magneto as an ally against the X-Men. And of course, here are the X-Men. They have found them. They've arrived on the island. And so we're about to begin a battle between X-Men against the Brotherhood of the Evil Mutants plus Submariner. That's going to be a great battle, don't you think? Okay, and the Angel strikes first. He swoops in and knocks down a couple of the evil mutants. Quicksilver says, "Look, it's the Angel." The Toad jumps up to avoid the Angel. He says, "That means the X-Men are here. They've found us." Look, Mastermind goes sprawling, and Magneto says, "Silence. Don't panic. If the X-Men attack us, it'll be their greatest blunder. Here on my home grounds, I cannot be defeated." Angel says, "Magneto, I have a message from Professor X. It concerns the Submariner." Magneto says, "It is too late for messages, Angel. I know what your accursed professor is up to, but I found Namor first." And look, Magneto is using his power to raise this boulder. What's he going to do? He tosses the boulder and many boulders at the Angel. He says, "Here is a message for X. If you deliver it to him, tell him of my power." Angel says, "He's magnetized the boulders near him. He's hurling them at me like missiles." It's lucky the professor spent so many long hours on my agility and obstacle dodging practice, and so the Angel is able to fly around and avoid the boulders. But Submariner steps in. He says, "Stand aside, Magneto. You make good use of your magnetic talent, but let the Submariner show you what real power is." Quicksilver says, "Magneto, shall I?" But Magneto says, "No, let us see what Namor can do." And so sure enough, Namor has the power of flight also, and so he flies up into the air. He says, "You fly well, stripling, but the Submariner's winged feet are a match for any airborne foe." Angel says, "Guess again, Namor. I can outmaneuver you in the air without half trying." Submariner says, "Perhaps you can, but what good is maneuverability when it is pitted against strength such as mine?" And look, Namor grabs the Angel and he prepares to hurl him through the air. Sure enough, he says, "There, arrogant one, of what use are your wings now? Now when I can hurl you so far and so fast that they flatten helplessly against your side." A short distance away, an alarm is sounded, and Cyclops says, "Hank, Angel is headed this way. He needs help." Hank says, "He's coming like a bullet, but don't worry, I'll retard his progress." And so the beast jumps up and down on the gangplank. He leaps into the air and grabs the Angel. And Iceman says, "Good work, Nature Boy. Here's a little assist from Iceman to keep you from landing too hard." And so Iceman shoots out a slide made out of ice, freezing on impact. The spray of ice which Bobby Drake hurled upwards towards his two partners becomes a makeshift slide, enabling them to reach the ship safely. He says, "Sorry I don't have time to send you a sled, fellas. but I guess you'll forgive me. Marvel Girl says, that was quick thinking, Hank. The professor was pleased. Cyclops says, speaking of the professor, he wants Angel to report to him at once. And so, Angel says, you are right, sir. Submariner is on the island with Magneto. The professor says, that's what I feared. We may already be too late. Cyclops asks, what's our next move, Professor? Professor says, we can't waste a minute. We've got to hit them fast, hit them hard. Prepare for action, my X-Men. Well, his X-Men are always prepared for action. But knowing the power of the X-Men, Magneto too prepares to attack as the largest magnet on Earth is zeroed in on the X-Men's ship. Oh my, see the magnet and these magnetic rays that are extending from it. Wow, subjected to a force against which there is no defense, the sturdy ship is torn apart in seconds. And so Cyclops says, abandoned ship. Marvel Girl says, the professor. Where is the professor? He's way over here. And the Beast says, hang on, sir. I'll get you somehow. Professor says, don't worry about me, Hank. Make sure the others are safe. Beast says, don't worry, sir. With the training you gave us all, we'll all be safe. I'll just tread water this way to hold you up till help comes. And here comes help. It's the Iceman. The Iceman says, have no fear, Beastie dear. Help is here. He rhymes. He's a poet, and he doesn't know it. Okay. I'll make an icy platform to get us to Magneto's island. Wow, look at that. What great icy power. It's a platform that's going to make it possible to take everyone to the island. Professor X says Magneto will have only himself to blame for what happens now. Well, let's see what happens now. Minutes later, unarmed but unafraid, the valiant band of X-Men approaches the most dangerous island on the face of the earth. Cyclops says, heads up, we're almost there. Then Cyclops sees something amazing. He says, hold it, where did this wall of spine roots come from? It wasn't here before. Angel says, beats me, Scotty. It'll take us forever to hack our way through them. Where do you think all those spines came from? All those thorns, those thorny vines and branches? Well, then the clear, commanding voice of Professor X rings out. It will take less time than you suspect. Without stopping, walk straight into the spine roots. You first, Cyclops. Cyclops says, yes, sir, if you say so. He walks ahead. He's about to get stabbed. Oh, no. Well, Angel says, wait for me, partner. Well, there's nothing here. Of course. Do you know what happened? Do you know where all those thorny vines came from? It was Mastermind. Cyclops says, we should have guessed, Warren. The professor caught on immediately. It was just an illusion, another device of Mastermind's to slow us up. But we made it, and there's Magneto's giant magnet. That must be what wrecked our ship. I'll smash it with my power beam. But before Cyclops can climb to the main control platform, Magneto points and sends Quicksilver out. He says, only your blinding speed can stop him now. Do not fail, Quicksilver. And here comes Quicksilver speeding along in the space of one single heartbeat. Here he comes behind Cyclops, who's thinking to himself, I seem to hear something behind me, like the ominous hum of an onrushing hurricane. Well, sure enough, Cyclops says, it's impossible. No one can attack with such blinding speed. Well, Quicksilver can. He says, you were fools to attack us. Our strength is far greater than yours. Then Cyclops says, "It is. Then why are you frantically dodging my power blasts?" Quicksilver says, "Because I know you'll exhaust your energy in a few more seconds, and then you'll be helpless." But here comes Marvel Girl. She says, "Correction, Quicksilver. No X-Man is ever helpless while another X-Man lives." And so Marvel Girl uses her mental power of telekinesis to raise Quicksilver and spin him around. Isn't that great, Lucy? Look at what Marvel Girl can do. Cyclops is impressed too. He says, "Good work, Marvel Girl. Just hold him there for a few more seconds, and then the others will take over." By the time Marvel Girl begins to release her telekinetic hold on Quicksilver, the once lightning-swift mutant is stunned and dizzy. Marvel Girl says, "Grab him, Angel. He'll be too groggy to resist for a while." Angel says, "Capturing Quicksilver was no mean feat, honey." And then Beast says, "Let him drop. I'll catch him." But look who's watching. It's Scarlet Witch, Quicksilver's sister. She says, "Magneto, you must do something. They've caught my brother. They have Pietro." Magneto says, "It will do them no good. They won't have a chance when I turn the full force of my magnet against them." But Scarlet Witch says, "No, you can't. My brother is with them." Magneto says, "Stop your sniveling. I make the decisions here. Abide by them or suffer the same fate yourself." So, Magneto's pretty mean. But look, Submariner is listening. Before Magneto can make another move, a silent, powerful figure with muscles like steel bands brushes past him, seizing the elaborate control bank in one effortless motion. Magneto says, "Namor, stand back. Even you are not strong enough to defy Magneto." Namor says, "I am the Submariner. I ally myself with no one who speaks to a female as you do." And so Submariner has decided not to side with Magneto, and now he's tearing apart the control panel for his giant magnet. Magneto says, "So be it. I see we can never fight side by side, but those who do not serve me are my enemies, and this is how I treat them." Look, he's using his magnetic power against Submariner, who says he's magnetically hurling the metal machine parts at me. What's he going to do? Submariner thinks, "I can't shake these metal pieces off me." He's pressing them tighter and tighter mentally. Magneto says, "I realize now that I misjudged you. All you possess is brute strength. My power is much greater, for it is the universal power of magnetism." But at that moment, a sudden blast rocks the chamber, jolting Magneto and his two evil henchmen as the very island seems to quiver with the force of the blast. Where did the blast come from? Who has the power to blast their headquarters? Of course, it's Cyclops. Hank says, "You are right on target, Cyclops." And Iceman says, "One thing about you, Scotty, you sure know how to make an entrance." Cyclops says, "Quick, rush them before they recover themselves." And so the X-Men rush into the headquarters. Cyclops takes the lead with his power beam. The Toad is bouncing away. He says, "Magneto has fled. We're alone. Quick, Mastermind, save us from the X-Men." Mastermind thinks, "I've got to act fast before he gets me with that accursed beam of his." And so he looks and sees that the other X-Men are at his side now. This is our only chance, a hypnotic illusion which cannot fail. Well, his illusion is fog. And so they begin to see a fog, and even though it's an hallucination, it works the same as real fog. Cyclops says, "Where did this sudden fog come from?" Beast says, "It wasn't here a second ago." Angel says, "It's one of Mastermind's illusions. It has to be." But the beast answers, illusion or not, we can't see. And then Iceman says, I've got an idea, gang. Even though we can't see them, we can always try to freeze them out. Watch this. And so Iceman begins to shoot his ice power out indiscriminately into the room. And so everybody's going to get cold. Magneto is at a door. He says, quick, through this iron door before you're frozen into immobility. Mastermind says, those blasted teenagers won't ever stay beaten. And look, the Toad is jumping in to the safe room. Magneto says, Scarlet Witch, hurry. I've got to seal this door. But she says, no, I won't leave without my brother. I can't desert Pietro. Magneto shrugs it off. He says, have it your own way then. My safety is all that matters. Only through my leadership can Homo Superior take over the Earth. Toad says, we don't need her, Master. Her loyalty to you isn't as great as mine. Magneto thinks, loyalty, bah, I rule by fear alone. So Magneto doesn't even care about his allies. Meanwhile, hearing the door shut, Iceman defrosts the chamber and the illusionary fog fades away. Angel says, careful, we're locked in here with the Submariner and the Scarlet Witch. Iceman asks, what do we do now? Cyclops answers, keep calm, we've got to play this by ear. Scarlet Witch says, what have you done with Quicksilver? I demand that you release him. Beast says, you're in no position to impose demands on us. Submariner realizes that with Magneto gone, these pieces of metal are no longer magnetized to my body. And so he shakes them off. And now, Submariner steps in. The Submariner commands you to obey the female. Set Quicksilver free. Hank answers, look, you piscatorial pirate. You may be Mr. Big when you're in the briny deep, but your imperial idiosyncrasies don't impress the X-Men. Well, his vocabulary impresses me. What do you think? Those are big words. Submariner says, fool, it will take more than a fancy vocabulary to stop Prince Namor. But the Beast says, I've got more. I also possess speed and agility which far exceed your own. And so they slug it out. But as you can see, Submariner stands firm. He says, what good are speed and agility against the strength of the Sea Lord? Even your bestial attack cannot affect one whose body is able to withstand the indescribable pressures at the very bottom of the sea. And so Beast just bounces off of him. Submariner continues, now are you convinced that Namor the First, Prince of Atlantis, Emperor of the Deep, Lord of the Seven Seas, is completely invincible? Beast says, no! As far as I'm concerned, Namor, you've only managed to prove that you love the sound of your own voice. So bam, 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 he's pounding against Submariner. Angelus says, the Beast is doing his best, but Namor is too much for him. Let's go, Cyclops. Cyclops says, not yet, Angel. He can't be beaten by a simple frontal attack. We need a plan. Angel says, okay, you stay and make plans. I'm going to help our barefoot buddy. And so the Angel flies toward Submariner and the Beast, but Submariner says, ha, I was expecting you to try that. This'll clip your wings, Angel. And so Submariner picks up the Beast and throws him against the Angel. Whoomp. And so Cyclops was right. A frontal attack isn't going to work. What are they going to do? Cyclops says, we can delay no longer. Now both the Beast and Angel are in danger. He says, all right, Submariner, if brute force is all you understand, the X-Men have enough to satisfy you. Now back away. It's our turn to attack. And so Cyclops uses his I-beam against Submariner. What will happen? Cyclops says, surrender, Namor. You can't escape my power beam. Submariner says, do your worst, Cyclops. Unlike my strength, your power blast will soon subside, and I'll finish this charade. Cyclops says, don't underestimate me, Namor. Don't make me use my full intensity. This is your last chance. But behind him, there's the Scarlet Witch. She says, Namor tried to help me. I must return the favor. I'll use my hex power on the fearless X-Man. No sooner does the Scarlet Witch unleash her uncanny hex than the very stones suddenly loosen under Cyclops' feet. He says, what? I lost my balance. See, Lucy, do you see what the Scarlet Witch did? Her hex power disrupted the floor underneath Cyclops. And so he's stumbling now, and he lost his balance. Namor says, you had your chance, Cyclops, but now before you can recover yourself, you'll feel the mighty wrath of Namor. But here comes a voice saying, halt! It's Professor X, louder than any human outcry. The irresistible mental command of the man who suddenly enters stops everyone in their tracks as all heads turn toward Professor X. He says, there is no need to continue your battle. Quicksilver has not been harmed, as you can see. Scarlet Witch asks, but why is he so motionless, so still? Why are his eyes so lacking in expression? Professor X answers, he is under my mental control. Scarlet Witch says, no, you must not do this dreadful thing. Release his brain. Let him be as he was. Professor X says, I shall. You have nothing to fear. My fight is not with you, nor with Namor. Magneto is the real enemy. All of you are but pawns. Submariner says, pawns? Who dares call the Submariner a pawn? Protect yourselves, X-Men. We'll see which of us are the pawns. And so with his strength, he rips up a huge block of stone from the floor. And Scarlet Witch says, no, Namor, please, not until Quicksilver is himself again, not until Professor X releases his mental control. The Beast says, touch Professor X and the ocean won't be big enough to hide you, Namor. And then Cyclops instructs Marvel Girl, push the professor to safety. We'll stop Namor. Professor X says, stand fast, my X-Men. The Submariner is no murderer. He will not strike if we don't provoke him. And now I shall release Quicksilver. I must keep my mind unfettered in readiness for the bigger battle with Magneto. Scarlet Witch says, Magneto, what has happened to him? Where has he gone? What will he do about Pietro and me? Quicksilver says, I feel as though I've been asleep. My head feels numb, dazed. Submariner says, bah, I was a fool to have come here. The Submariner needs no alliances. All surface men are my enemies. Whether mutant or not, I shall return to the deep where I belong. When next I return, it shall be to take my rightful place as conqueror of the air breathers, reclaimer of the surface world for the ancient empire of Atlantis. Professor, he's escaping. Professor says, let him go. So long as he does not join Magneto's mutants, we have won. He can never truly be one of us. His allegiance is to Atlantis. Ours is to the human race. Submariner leaves, but he's thinking, not since I lost my heart to Sue Storm have I seen such a beauty as the Scarlet Witch. But I dare not love another surface female. I dare not become vulnerable again. Meantime, Magneto, Mastermind, and the Toad reach the giant magnetic dynamo, which only the leader of the evil mutants has the power to operate. Magneto says, so, Namor dared to challenge me, did he? Well, any mutant who isn't my ally becomes my mortal enemy. I must make certain he can never join the accursed X-Men. He must be smashed once and for all. Magneto says, be careful, Mastermind. I'm sorry, he says, be careful, Magneto. The X-Men are still at large, and we've lost Quicksilver and Scarlet Witch. Magneto says, how little you know. Once Namor is destroyed, the X-Men will be next, and then Quicksilver and his sister will rejoin us. There is no way to leave Magneto's mutants except by death. Now be silent. I want to enjoy Namor's defeat. What will he do? He's got his giant magnet, and he's got his hand on the lever. Seconds later, as the Sea Prince appears on the giant magnet's viewfinder, Magneto activates the mighty machine, and then, look, Submariner is feeling this invisible force, this magnetism. He says, I'm being rocked by an invisible force, more powerful than anything I've ever felt. Coming from that peak, it's Magneto, operating his monstrous magnet. I must fight it. I cannot be beaten now. It's forced me to the ground, crushing me down. I've only one chance, one way to strike back. And so he flexes his more than human muscles until they stand out like taut steel bands. Then the Submariner smashes his two mighty fists down into the ground with a force beyond the power of human understanding. So shattering is the impact that it causes the entire island to quiver as the gigantic magnet pitches forward, shaken loose from its rocky foundation. Without a word, without a backward glance, the awesome Namor rises and slowly, imperiously approaches the sea. Then with one breathtaking dive, the ruler of the deep returns to his domain. The ocean depths have claimed their own. So, a very nice swan dive into the ocean. I give him 10 points for that. As for Magneto, never before has such anger, such livid rage been seen on the face of the evil mutant. Mastermind says, we've lost. Namor beat us. Ugh. Magneto says, silence. No one beats Magneto. He merely escaped my vengeance for the present. Toad, into the Magno ship. Hop, you brainless gargoyle. Within seconds, Magneto's ship, with a trembling Toad at the controls, raises the two mutants magnetically. And so Mastermind and Magneto rise into the ship. Mastermind asks, what about Quicksilver and the Scarlet Witch? Magneto says, they're coming now in response to my mental command. And so here they come. Quicksilver carrying Scarlet Witch. Cyclops says, look, our prisoners are escaping. Professor X says, I allowed it. Until they join us of their own free will, they would be useless to us. Someday we must learn what mysterious hold Magneto has over them. Marvel Girl says, I'm glad to see them go. That witch is much too attractive. So Marvel Girl is kind of jealous. And the Beast says, help me hoist the sails of Magneto's boat, my frigid friend. Iceman says, sure. Everyone yaks, and I end up doing the work. All right, so the X-Men have survived the attack of the evil mutants and Submariner. And Submariner didn't join the evil mutants, but returned to his kingdom of Atlantis. And so the X-Men now are ready for their next adventure. All right, but instead of seeing the next adventure, I'm just going to show you a special pinup page of the Cyclops. It's and his real name, you'll remember, is Scott Summers. And so here he is, a powerful young man with his I-beams at work. What a powerful character, right? Okay. Well, that's the end of our adventures of the X-Men versus the evil mutants. I hope you've enjoyed these stories. And don't worry, Papa has more stories to tell. And so I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.